So this past week, I decided to do this crazy thing and see the original Avatar movie that came out in 2009 and see the re-release in 3D. Mostly because it had been almost probably close to 10 years since the last time I saw Avatar. And also, I had never seen the movie in theaters, plus never in 3D. So I wanted to view this spectacle on the big screen and of course in 3D. Never once on my channel have I had a reason to talk about Avatar, but now with Avatar 2 coming out in December, as well as the re-release coming out of the original film a few weeks ago, I now have every single reason in the book to talk about the original Avatar. And why wouldn't I? This is an action sci-fi epic. And for as long as I can remember, I was never the biggest fan of Avatar. I enjoyed the movie as a tween when the movie came out. I liked watching it with my friends growing up, but I was never the biggest fan. Until now, I think this movie is highly underrated by a lot of audiences because so many people I know, a lot of my friends, think this movie sucks and they are pissed at the idea of Avatar 2. I don't really blame them because the first movie isn't for everybody. But if you're somebody like me who loves sci-fi, action, spectacles, well, this is everything you'll ever need to see on the big screen. Straight up, I love this movie. It has amazing visuals. It's really entertaining. The planet and creature designs are so cool. It has some of my favorite sci-fi action of all time. Some people hate this movie because of the deforestation metaphors and all of the metaphors the movie has to offer, as well as the plot, which does have some conveniences. There are some similarities to previous sci-fi movies and action spectacle films that we've seen before, and I get it. This is not the movie for everybody. And I'll talk about some of those metaphors and some similarities that this movie has to others that came out previously. But first, let's talk about what I love about the original Avatar. First and foremost, the performances are great. Zoe Saldana does everything she can to bring this character to life on screen. Before this movie came out, she starred in Star Trek, then later on in Guardians of the Galaxy. So, as you know by now, she's really used to the sci-fi genre. And then in Avatar, yet another sci-fi movie, she further proves that she's really good in these types of films. Zoe Saldana, I could never imagine her in any other genre excelling as well. Also, I love Sigourney Weaver, and her character's kind of similar to the character she played in Holes, except she's not a villain. She plays a good guy in this movie, is very sassy, does a lot of back talking, and that's what makes her character so likable. So Sigourney Weaver is awesome, but somebody that's very controversial in this film, and a person who I feel has never had any respect from the average audience member is Sam Worthington. And the reason I say that is because, can you name any big blockbuster movie that Sam Worthington has starred in other than Avatar? I mean, I can think of a couple of movies that I love, like Hacksaw Ridge, for instance, that I've seen Sam Worthington in, but I have not seen Sam Worthington star in another blockbuster anywhere close to the scale of Avatar, because for the longest time, this was the highest grossing movie ever until Avengers Endgame, and then it retook that stake when it got re-released in China, so now it has that record again. And Sam Worthington, the guy is really talented, but has never been in anything nearly as big as Avatar since it was released in 2009. And I think a lot of that is due to audience backlash. They felt like this guy was miscasted, and they don't think he's meant for the big screen. But personally, I thought he was really good in the movie. I don't quite get the hate. He's perfectly fine. Sam Worthington plays the character well. What else could you expect out of the man? The character did not ask for much more of a performance than what Sam Worthington gave on the screen. I liked him, and I think we need to see more of Sam Worthington in blockbusters. So I'm glad at least we're getting a sequel with Sam Worthington. I'm so happy they didn't recast him because that would have been an atrocity if they did. Now, I don't think I need to discuss this aspect of Avatar because everyone has since 2009, but obviously Avatar has some of the greatest looking visuals in cinematic history. They're immaculate. I can't believe the movie still looks this good in 2022. That's saying something about the technology in 2009 that James Cameron was able to create and help develop the animation for this movie. And the fact that most of this movie is not real, as in it's very much an animated movie for the most part. It's so incredible that everything looks as realistic as it does, and it's brought to life on the big screen as if it's a real environment. It's so mind-blowing. I cannot believe that this movie looks as good as it does. It's truly saying something, and the sequel should be nothing short of phenomenal in terms of visuals. What about the movie's action? Well, I have no complaints. The movie is constantly entertaining from an action standpoint. The finale offers some of the finest action that I have ever seen from the sci-fi genre. It's one of my favorite final 30 minutes of a movie of all time. The action in the film never misses. It's just so spectacular, a ton of fun to watch. A lot of that is due to the spectacular visuals once again, as well as such cool creature designs. The animals, the aliens that we see in Avatar are some of the coolest I've ever seen. You just don't see imagination like that anymore in present day sci-fi movies. It's not realistic in 2022, which is so sad. But James Cameron was able to do it in 2009, and I'm sure we're going to see even more of it in 2022 later on this year. I'm so excited to see what other creatures we get in the sequel. And don't get mad at me, but personally, I think the emotional moments hit hard in the first Avatar movie. That's exactly what the doctor ordered. It's everything I ever wanted to see out of a James Cameron movie. I cared about the characters whenever somebody died. I felt something. Seeing it on the big screen for the first time in 3D. Spectacular stuff. James Cameron, thank you so much for making me feel something, because whenever I see movies nowadays, I barely ever care about the characters. When somebody dies, I'm like, I don't give a damn. Kill them. Kill everybody else. Who cares? Like I said, originally I was not the biggest fan of the first Avatar, but since then, watching it on the big screen for the first time, I have to say, guys, Avatar is now one of my favorite movies ever made. But that doesn't mean this movie is perfect. It's close to it, but not quite there, mostly because of one thing. And no, it's not because of those stupid metaphors about deforestation, which so many people complain about. They also complain about the plot. They say, oh, this is the same plot we've seen a million times. It's so stupid. I can't stand it. Oh my God. The guy, the human, joins the aliens, the Na'vi. Oh my God. I mean, come on. Personally, I'm a sucker for movies like this. It reminds me of films like Dances with Wolves and The Last Samurai. These are my types of movies. I love films that show an extended amount of character development where somebody is so different from where they started off in the beginning of the film all the way to the end of the film. It's just so well done. And we see it again here in Avatar. I love everything about the character development in this film, and a lot of that has to do with the plot. So my main problem has nothing to do with the metaphors or the story. No, it mostly has to do with the villains, starring Stephen Lang and Giovanni Ribisi. These are some of the most generic, bland, boring villains that I've seen in sci-fi, and that is my biggest problem with this movie, which, you know what? Forget about them. I don't really care. They're just background characters. They're not in the movie that much. Basically, they are money-hungry government / military guys who come to Pandora to mine for this rock, and it just so happens that the Na'vi live on the sacred ground that is above the rock, and they want to tear their forests and their sacred lands down to get the rock. And since the Na'vi don't want to leave their land, well, the military has to resort to killing all of them. Yeah, Stephen Lang and Giovanni Ribisi play some of the most bland villains that you could ever think of, but you know what? I don't really care. It's not a big deal. It's that paired with the hero lying to his newfound people storyline that has been recycled throughout Hollywood. It's annoying, and we see that here in Avatar, but those, at the end of the day, are more so nitpicks. They're not a deal breaker. All in all, I had a spectacular time watching Avatar on the big screen for the first time in 3D. Plus now I have these really cool 3D glasses that nobody asked for after I left the movie. Usually they have this bin that you throw the glasses in after watching a 3D movie, but I guess because of COVID, they just let you keep them now, so that was really nice of them. If you weren't a fan of Avatar the first time you saw it and want to give it a second chance, I recommend looking no further than seeing it again on the big screen in 3D. So for all of you who joined me in seeing the Avatar re-release on the big screen in 3D, what are your thoughts? Do you love this movie? Do you think it's spectacular, one of the greatest sci-fi movies ever made by the iconic director James Cameron? Or are you like many other audience members and think this is one of the crappiest, most overrated sci-fi movies of all time? And of course, guys, as always, if you are new to my channel, click the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and I hope you all have a fantastic day.